Hi, everybody. I thought I have to go online today because I've heard a lot of negative talk about passive house these days. And that's the reason I wanted to jump on. I've heard a lot that passive house is too expensive, it's too difficult, and we can't do it. We had a TV clip recently here in Australia where it was saying 25% additional costs for passive house. And this is all not true. Like, if it is 25% more expensive, then we have a poor design. It's a question of design. Passive house is actually step one, like my t-shirt today, even if it is an underwear brand. But I thought when I hear this again today, I need to remind you all that passive house is step one, not the passive house standard. The passive house approach and the understanding of construction is definitely the passive house approach, where we're bringing design and construction closer together so that we can actually build more economical. And I think this is the problem that we're having these days, is that people are not communicating with each other. Like, our design team is not talking with our construction team. And then we are getting into extremely expensive windows where you spend over $100,000 on windows. However, you could actually get them for the same price than single glazed aluminium. If you remember my article from 2022, where I got for our Smart Plus Academy home, the spa home, the whole windows for less than $10,000. Yeah, and that's 23 square meters of glazing. What means the price of glazing was, I think, less than $400 a square meter. And that is passive house quality for the Sydney climate. Guys, don't buy into this that passive house is too expensive. Passive house is not too expensive. Passive house is actually only adding between 5 and 15%, if even. The passive house costs in 2022 were $400, including already the builder's margin. Today, maybe it's $500, and $500 additional cost is not that much compared to our square meter prices that we're having these days. Additionally, so that's what is happening on just looking at the pure figures. Additionally, we have other financial options. They actually eliminate that $500 additional costs for building passive house, and that's called green loans. Our green loans allow us to actually come to the same financial burden than when we are building conventional. So what do I mean by that? So we're building conventional, and then we're putting now this $500 per square meter on top of it. However, because we're building green, we're building sustainable, we are now able to get a green loan. And with a green loan, we can reduce the interest rate by 0.5% up to 2.6% cheaper. That was the highest difference that we had. That was in 2022. I'm not 100% sure what's the highest these days. However, just 0.4 or 0.5% lower is covering that $500 of additional cost for the client. In other words, the client can increase their borrowing capacity by up to 25%, and the additional cost for passive house is 15%. So maximum 15%, rather 5% in normal cases. So you see already, passive house makes it more likely that your clients can achieve their project, their new home. And as well, the value of the houses go up by $120,000 in average. In a percentage, in average 14.9%, so 15%, the maximum what passive house costs. And in urban areas, in areas like Melbourne or so, we're actually having an increase of value of the property by 30%. So in other words, if you're spending the maximum additional cost of 15% and you're getting a 30% higher value of the building, it's already profitable for the client, and it makes sense. And because of green loans, they're already financing it. So they're winning twice, and you're winning as well because every single client is becoming more valuable. If you want to know more about this, join me in my weekly sessions on Passive House Certified and Profitable, or Passive House Certified and Confident. The confident session is for you designers. The profitable is for you builders, because this is what I see where the issue is. The confident problem with the designers, that they're not going for passive house. and the profitable is that the builders are worried that they're not making money. So in the first comment below, I will put in the links, or the first 2 comments below, I will put in the links for actually joining the sessions and apply for the sessions. So if you're certified, then this is for you. And if you're not certified, this is as well for you, and to understand why you want to get that knowledge of Passivhaus. I hope that helps, and I'm looking forward to see you in one of my half an hour introduction into the economics of Passivhaus. Talk to you then.